Hello and welcome to Kitty Goes Down the Rabbit Hole, where I discuss all the random things that I come across in my travels on the interwebs. And today, let's talk about cuties. Before I get into the rest of this video, I've left some resources down in the description box below where you can learn how you can help fight child exploitation and abuse. I'm not going to give you the whole background of the film or the players involved, any of that. I think that's something you can easily find yourself an IMDb quick Google search. What I'm going to be going through today is my interpretation of the film, because I think it's a very important conversation, and this story is authentic and complicated. So initially, like many of you, I saw the Netflix outrage. After doing a little bit more research into, the director, what she intended, the message she was trying to convey, she was trying to tell a story based on her own experiences, I took a step back and I said, okay, so we are dragging a woman of color for trying to tell her story. And that didn't sit well with me either. And when I finally watched the film, I had very mixed feelings about it, because I totally see what the director's intent was. And I totally see what her message was. Like, this film in no way glorifies or condones sexualization of children or pedophilia, grooming, or rape culture. It condemns that. So this entire film, we're following Ami, our lead. She is an 11-year-old Senegalese immigrant. She's just moved to France with her family, and she's lived a very sheltered life, and she is very naive. Now, the way the film is shot, it is fully from her perspective. We're experiencing it as she is experiencing it. We are seeing the world through her eyes. And it's important to note that an 11-year-old wouldn't be applying the sexualization to what she's experiencing. We as adults watching the film are doing that. That said, I really wish they had conveyed things differently. As you go through the film, she starts being fixated on certain things, and the fixation translates into the camera being fixated on certain things. The other dancers make fun of her for having a flat butt, as an example. From that point on, she starts fixating on butts. So does the camera. And it's really uncomfortable. For the bulk of the film, it's just a regular coming-of-age story. She's growing up. She's moved to a new place. She's trying to balance all of that, being from a conservative Muslim culture. And now she's experiencing like internet culture for the first time. And it's a very relatable, powerful, and authentic story. But that kind of gets like thrown out the wayside when people fixate on the dance sequences. And I think that's what everybody is fixating on because of how they're shot. I don't think you needed to even cut, like, you can even have the dance sequences still be in there. And all the sequences where Ami is teaching the girls how to twerk, and they've incorporated that into their dancing and all of that. It didn't have to be filmed in such a voyeuristic way to convey that message. I think the rest of the film conveys that message really well. Now, what I think this film does really well, and what is really interesting, is how it doesn't vilify any of the adults or older teenagers. To me, it would be really easy to fall into that trap. But they don't. They don't vilify the parents, older teenage boys, which is a trope in female coming-of-age stories. And it doesn't vilify the internet. or even internet culture or society as a whole. What I do find interesting is whenever these girls are behaving in a certain way and no adult, not even the older teenage boys, no one condones the behavior of these girls. No one is okay with it. Everybody is uncomfortable with it. Everybody in the film, except for the one creepy laser tag pedo guy. What I will say is he's called out by his other male colleague. But when people are interacting with these girls and they are not okay with their behavior, it is always, what the hell is wrong with you? They never explain to these girls why their behavior is inappropriate. They don't have a conversation about the implications of what they're doing. And I think that's very important. I think that is the true villain. Another interesting thing to note is how much positive reinforcement and validation they've been getting online. So they're always talking about, look how many likes you've gotten, look how many comments there are. They all love you. And that just juxtaposed with how the crowd reacts to them at the very end is extremely jarring. That sequence to me read like a nightmare sequence. And they're confused and they're thrown off guard because this whole time they've been getting such positive reinforcement, and now the crowd is booing. They're giving them dirty looks. They're shaking their heads. They're not okay with it. Do you know how confusing that would be for an 11-year-old? Now, a lot of people out there are like, oh, well, when I was 11. When I was 11, we were slut-shaming already. I think a lot of people are misremembering their childhoods. Or at least are cutting certain sequences out. And that was even before the internet as it is today. Like when I was 11, that was 20 years ago. We still couldn't talk on the phone and be on the internet at the same time. It is a very different world of today. So even if when you were 11, you were sweet and innocent the entire time, that doesn't mean kids of today don't have more to grapple with and don't have a completely different environment. Then there's a lot of people who are saying that it would be better if these actresses were older. The character is still 11. So I really don't understand how that makes it better. Yeah, I understand that the filming process might be less exploitative. You have an older actress who's better able to understand the implications of what she's working on. But the character is still 11. Now, we see a lot of that like in teen shows where all the teens are played by adults and they're in hypersexual situations. And we watch it and justify it and dismiss it because, oh, these actors are all adults. It's fine. But they're not playing adults. You think like a 14-year-old is going to be watching Riverdale and thinking, that's not okay for me to do because that actor is an adult. What this film did, even with all of its issues and implications, it put a mirror in front of us. We did not like what we saw. Rather than acknowledge that reflection, we tried to destroy the mirror. And I think what is missing in some conversations is it doesn't matter if that film gets pulled, if Netflix tanks. You can cover up the mirror, but that doesn't change reality. It's a very tough film to watch. It's very difficult. Clearly have a lot of feelings. So I hope you all have an awesome rest of your day. Everyone stay safe. I wish you all happiness and love. Bye.